Thanks for joining us. It's good to have you back for episode 3 of the partnership panel with Newcastle for Intermediaries on self-employed borrowers. I'm Samantha Partington, freelance journalist for Mortgage Solutions. Across 4 videos, we'll be looking at distinct areas of mortgage lending that each come with their own unique set of opportunities and challenges for brokers and lenders to navigate. These include how first-time buyers' needs are changing to become much more diverse, the impact of the FCA's call on lenders to take different approaches to affordability assessments, and the challenges and complexities of self-employed and large loan lending. Around 12% of the workforce is self-employed. That equates to around 4.4 million people. Yet getting a mortgage for this cohort of borrowers can be extremely challenging. In fact, nearly 4 in 10 self-employed workers have considered giving up working for themselves completely in order to get a mortgage, which is quite a shocking statistic, really. Tony, what's the broker's view on self-employed lending and the complexities that it involves?
Without a shadow of a doubt, Sam, it's definitely viewed as one of the more complex areas. And whilst we're on the subject of stats, I read a headline just last week that said 28% of self-employed individuals don't believe they even qualify for a mortgage, so don't bother. I mean, that's quite terrifying, really, when we think of what's happening with lenders like Newcastle to support that cohort of individuals. From a broker perspective, there is confusion, I think. They're not always absolutely clear of which lender abide by which set of criteria. Is it one set of accounts? Is it 2 years accounts? Is it accounts and salary or profit? Is it dividends? So there's lots and lots of questions that spring to mind. I think Newcastle offer all of those, actually. So I think, our help desk is often inundated with queries around the self-employed criteria and what lenders borrow on which circumstances.
Yeah. It's a really good point, and we do most of them, Tony, if not all. I think it's interesting because we were just talking backstage before, weren't we, around what the perception of brokers is in the self-employed space. Is it specialised, or is it something which is mainstream? And you posed a really sort of good answer when you mentioned it's just a little bit more complex, yeah? So there's absolutely sort of high street homes for these self-employed applicants. And what we look at the sort of self-employed demographic across the UK as well, we know over the past 4 or 5 years, we've slightly seen a decrease in the number of self-employed people across the UK. Now, that'll probably be because of a number of various factors, but we're starting to see them numbers now return to sort of pre-pandemic levels. But the income structures are certainly now a lot more complex than what they were 3, 4, 5 years ago. There'll usually be multiple income streams. As you mentioned in terms of the shifts from a sole trader to limited company, when did that shift happen? How many years worth of accounts did he have? But then you look at also as well, you're looking for a lender who can really help you find a home for that individual. So not just really sort of going down both the criteria and product perspective, but someone who really you can speak to an expert, whether that be one of our underwriters or one of our business development managers, just to try and give you as a broker a bit more confidence that your applicant has the certainty that they need before they sort of proceed in that mortgage journey. Because that's quite a scary statistic when you mention around 1 in 4 self-employed people feel as though they cannot get a mortgage.
Mm-hmm. And Charlotte, just getting into that support then, what are lenders doing to support this often underserved segment of the market?
I think from a Newcastle perspective, that's probably where one of our biggest challenges lies in terms of criteria. You want to cover everything, but there's so many nuances in the types of income and things from self-employed borrowers. It's really difficult to do that. So I think how we do it is probably more so through, obviously, the criteria. So we try and give as many options as possible. As Frankie's already alluded, we have like a 1-year self-employed for those that maybe haven't been employed for as long. There's just examples where we sort of tailor that approach. I think most importantly, though, it's the service that we provide and giving that bespoke option up front so they can speak to an underwriter, they can discuss their individual requirements, and we can tailor that approach for them and just really understand what their needs are and provide for that.
Tony, how do networks continue that support for brokers in terms of their education for self-employed underwriting?
I don't think it just stops in the self-employed sector, really, Sam. We have an obligation and a duty of care to our brokers in the network to ensure that there's an ongoing commitment to education, and that's to ensure that they're aware of all the criteria that sit with all of our lenders and providers, of course, on panel. So we would work closely with lenders such as Newcastle to make sure that we have a joined-up approach in terms of communicating and marketing those new products and those nuances that Frankie and Charlotte have spoken about out to our firms, to make sure that their knowledge is up to date and up to speed. In addition to that, we would ensure that our internal broker-facing hub is updated with that criteria. And like many other networks, Sesame Bank or Group also offer a mortgage and protection help desk where the experts there can make sure that they're giving our firms and advisors up-to-the-minute knowledge on those criteria changes.
And what we do is we work really closely with the networks, both from a help desk perspective, but also in terms of the education of brokers across the UK. And what we usually find is, we mentioned it before in terms of it isn't specialist lending, this is just more complex lending. So if you can find a lender that you know and trust and can offer you with speed and certainty backed up with the service that we just mentioned before, then usually become one of the first choice lenders. You're giving that broker a home for their cohort of self-employed applicants, and giving that certainty a little bit earlier on in the journey.
It's a proven positive experience then, isn't it, that the broker can retread and re-experience.
Yeah, it's time and time again, isn't it? You're right.
Thanks very much, everybody. We'll draw things to a close there. Thanks to all my guests, and please join us again for the next segment.